After studying this module, we shall be able to know the concept and the meaning and the nature of motivation, and to learn the definitions given by various authors, and to evaluate the importance of motivation to achieve the organizational goals.
There is an old saying, you can take a horse to water, but you cannot force it to drink. It will only drink if it is thirsty. So is with the people. They need to be motivated. In today's marketplace, where companies seek a competitive edge, motivation is the key factor for talent retention and performance. The goal of every manager is to create a work environment that is engaging and motivating for the employees, where they want to stay, grow and contribute their knowledge, experience and expertise to the accomplishment of the organizational goals. An organization is established with an objective to attain certain goals. In order to achieve these goals, managers of the organization divide these goals into certain measurable tasks. The job of the manager here is not to perform these tasks himself. Rather, the job of the manager in an organization is to attain these tasks done by his subordinates, employees in the organization. In order to make the subordinate work towards the attainment of organizational goals, a manager has to work on modifying the behavior of his subordinates from time to time. The motive or desires of a human being results in a particular behavior. Every human has certain needs. These needs are the cause of work and bring about action of the work to achieve the organizational goals. If a manager is able to decipher these needs correctly, then it can help him in directing his subordinates to work on the lines of achieving the organizational goals. In a way, we can say that these desires are the motives. If these motives are fulfilled, it leads to motivation, and motivation leads to achievement of desired goals. So the ultimate task of a manager is to identify these motives of each individual and fulfilling them from time to time to stimulate them to work towards the organizational goals. In psychology, motivation is one of the most repeatedly used words. It refers to the feature which moves or stimulates an individual. We assume the existence of motivation when we see the people work towards certain goals. For example, we monitor that a student works hard at nearly every task that comes to him or her. From this we can interpret that a person has a motive to attain. All human behavior appears to begin in reply to some form of internal or external stimulus. Though the behavior is not disorganized, they entail various goals. It is frequently held that behavior takes place as an outcome of stimulus of certain motives. Therefore, motivation can be defined as a procedure of starting, maintaining, and directing behavior towards a particular goal. The course is typically terminated once the desired goal is achieved by the person. The process of initiating action is theoretically called as motivation. Directing behavior towards certain aim is the core of motivation. Behavior can be governed by unconscious motives also. If our understanding of motives is exact, we have an influential tool for explaining the behavior. We clarify our everyday behavior in terms of different motives. Motives too help us make forecast about the behavior. The notion of motivation is desired from the Latin word movere, which means to move. The word motivation is desired from the word motive, meaning the reason we do what we do. Motivation is the action word that influence every aspect of our daily lives, whether in games, education, business, leisure, or any other venture. Motivation is elementary in the level of success an individual attains in every field. Psychologist emphasizes that motivation activates the behavior and drives an individual forward towards attaining goals or needs.
Human behavior is need based and goal oriented. People differ not only in their ability to do so, but also in their will to do or motivation. The motivation of people depends on the strength of their motives. Human behavior takes place as an outcome of this simulation of certain motives and fulfillment of needs and wants. The word motivation is derived from the root word motive, which means the reason we do what we do. The ultimate task of a manager is identifying those motives of each individual and fulfilling them from time to time that would motivate them to work towards the organizational goals. Motivation is an action word that manipulates every aspect of our daily lives. Whether athletics, academics, business, industry, entertainment, or any other venture, management tries to utilize all the resources of production in a best possible manner, and this can only be achieved when employees are cooperative. Therefore, efforts should be made to motivate employees so that they can cooperate their maximum. The motivated employees are an asset to the organization. Therefore, in every organization, motivation plays a very important role in accomplishment of goals effectively. Motivation refers to the features which move or stimulate an individual. Motive is defined as a need or desire that impels or incites a person to a certain course of action or behavior. Motives are needs, wants, drives that the individual has. They are directed towards goals which may be conscious or subconscious. Let us now learn some of the prominent definitions given by eminent personalities. As said by Edwin B. Flippo, motivation is the process of attempting to influence others to do your will through the possibility of a gain or reward. According to Skinner, motivation refers to the way in which urge, drives, desires, ambition, and strivings or need direct, control, or explain the behavior of human being. Taylor defines motivation as psychological and sociological factors that make people do their job better. There are few concepts related to motivation which we need to learn. These are needs and motives, goals, incentives, instincts. Let us comprehend these concepts.
Let us now understand the key concepts of motivation, needs and motives. A need is something that is necessary for organisms to live a healthy life. Needs are distinguished from wants because a deficiency would cause a clear negative outcome such as dysfunction or death. Needs can be objective and physical, such as food, or they can be subjective or psychological, such as the needs of self-esteem. On the social level, the needs are sometimes controversial. The needs may be generally categorized as primary or psychological needs and secondary or social needs. Need for food, water, sex, sleep, exclusion are the primary needs. Need for achievement, affiliation, power, etc. are kind of social needs. On the other hand, the term motive refers to goal-directed behavior and energizing the conditions within the individual that drive behavior. Motives direct the activity of the individual towards goal of an individual. Goal. A goal is a desired result that a person or a system envisions, plan and commits to achieve a personal or organizational desired endpoints in some sort of assumed development. Many people endeavor to reach goals within a finite time by setting the deadlines. It is roughly similar to purpose or aim, the anticipated results, which guides the reaction or an end, which is an object, either a physical object or an abstract object that has intrinsic value. Want. Wants are distinguished from needs. A need is something that is necessary for survival, such as food and shelter, whereas a want is simply something that a person would like to have. Some economists have rejected this distinction and maintain that all of these are simply wants, with varying levels of importance. By this viewpoint, wants and needs can be understood as examples of overall concept of demand. Incentives. An incentive is something that motivates an individual to perform an action. The study of incentive structures is central to the study of all economic activities, both in terms of individual decision making and in terms of cooperation and competition within the large institutional structure. Economic analysis then of the differences between societies and between different organizations within a society largely amounts to characterizing the differences in incentive structures faced by individuals involved in these collective efforts. Ultimately, incentives aim to provide value for money and contribute to organizational success. Instincts. Instinct is an older concept in the field of motivation. It is defined as an inherent biological force that promotes the individual to promote in a certain way. Some of the instincts acknowledged by the psychologist are fight, disgust, curio, self-assessment, achievement, etc. It was thought that instincts were innate and convincing sources of conduct, but can be customized by learning and understanding. This term is not in relation to human behavior now. Rather, animal behavior is occasionally explained with the help of this term. Let us now understand these concepts with the help of visuals.
Need. A need is a state of lack or deficit of something required by the individual. In order to sustain, an individual finds it essential to satisfy the needs. The needs are of various types, like physiological need, social need, etc. The needs may be generally categorized as primary or physiological needs and secondary or social needs. Need for food, water, sex, sleep, and exclusion are primary needs. Need for achievement, affiliation, power, etc. are kind of social needs. On the other hand, the term motive refers to the goal directed behavior and energizing conditions within the individual that drive behavior. Motives direct the activity of the individual towards the goal of an individual.
Goals. A goal motivates a person to initiate his or her action. For example, if hunger is a need, eating food is a goal. Therefore, goal is related to the need state. In some cases, behavior is also guided by intrinsic goals. Behavior does not constantly need external goal. It may be pleasing and enjoyable in itself. Consequently, goals can be intrinsic and extrinsic. Incentives. Incentives refers to the goal objects which gratify the needs. Incentives differ in quality and quantity, which make them less or more satisfying and striking. Therefore, one can put in greater effort to conquer more attractive incentives. Instincts. Instinct is an older concept in the field of motivation. It is defined as an inherent biological force that prompts the individual to proceed in a certain way. Some of the instincts acknowledged by the psychologist are fight, disgust, curio, self abasement, achievement, etc. It was thought that the instincts were innate and convincing sources of conduct, but can be customized by learning and understanding. Let us now proceed to learn about the nature of motivation as a process. The following are characteristics of motivation. Continuous process. We all know human wants are unlimited. With the fulfillment of one want, another want of a higher order arises. Additional, all the wants cannot be satisfied at the same time. Wants are to be pleased one after another incessantly. Hence, motivation is also a continuous and unending process as needs are infinite. Psychological concept. It is concerned with the psychological aspect of human beings. The levels of fulfillment, gratification, etc. of the same reward differ from person to person. This is due to disparity in ambition, attitude, feelings, and equanimity of individuals. Self concept. Self concept is a life viewpoint of a person that he creates about himself during his childhood. He or she believe in the same way during his lifetime unless and until a chief transform takes place in his or her lifetime. Consequently, those who formulate an optimistic view about themselves during the childhood will be motivated by themselves in the rest of the time period. And it is vice versa in case of negative self concept. Multidimensional. Motivation has a number of multifaceted components which encompasses the internal urges and desires felt by employees, external pressures, and goals that influence the employee's perception about risk and benefits of behaviors to the self and cognitive assessment of the situation. It is a key to change. The word motivation is inevitably linked to the understanding of personal change. The nature of change and its causes, like motivation, is an intricate construct with evolving definitions. Few of us, for example, take a totally deterministic view of change as a foreseeable result of biological forces. Yet, most of us accept the actuality that physical growth and maturity do produce change. It is influenced by social interactions. Motivation results from the interactions between the individuals and other people or environmental factors. Through internal factors are the basis of transformation, but external factors are the circumstances of change. It is dynamic and fluctuating. Motivation is a dynamic state that can vary over time and in relation to different situations, rather than a stationary personal attribute.
The nature of change and its causes, like motivation, is an intricate construct with evolving definitions. The baby begins to walk, and the adolescents seem to be driven by hormonal changes. We know too that social norms and roles can change, retort, and influence behaviors, although few of us want to think of ourselves as simply in compliance to what others intricate. Indeed, we believe that reasoning and problem solving, as well as expressive commitment, can uphold the change. Lack of community support, like barriers to healthcare, employment, and public discernment of the substance abuse, may also distress an individual's motivation. Motivation is a dynamic state that can vary over time and in relation to different situations, rather than a stationary personal attribute. Motivation can hesitate between conflicting objectives. Motivation also varies in concentration, faltering in response to doubts and to increase as these are resolved and goals are more evidently envisioned. In this sense, motivation can be unsure, prevalent trait, or a determined readiness to act or not to act.
Let us now learn the importance of motivation. Motivation is very significant for an individual and organization because of the following benefits. It sets the human resources into action. Every organization needs physical, financial, and human resources to achieve the goals. It is through motivation that human resources can be utilized optimally. Improves efficiency of employees. For getting better performance out of an employee, the gap between ability and eagerness has to be filled. This will result in increasing the output, reducing the cost of operations, and improving overall efficiency. Leads to accomplishment of organizational goals. The goals of an enterprise can be achieved only when resources are utilized properly, presence of cooperative work environment, and goal-directed employees. Goals can be achieved if coordination and cooperation takes place concurrently, which can be effectively done through motivation. Builds cordial relations. Motivation is a significant factor which brings employees satisfaction. This can be done by framing an incentive plan for the benefit of employees, like monetary and non monetary incentives, promotion opportunities for employees, restraint for unskilled employees. The number of steps can be taken to construct friendly environment such as effectual cooperation. This will help in providing a downy and sound concern in which individual interest will correspond with the organizational interest, resulting in profit maximization through increased productivity. Leads to permanence of workforce. For reputation and goodwill of a concern, stability of workforce is very significant. The employees can remain truthful to the enterprise only when they have a feeling of partaking in the management. The skills and competence of employees will always be of gain to employers as well as employees. This will help in image building in the market, which will attract and retain capable and qualified people into the organization.
Motivating employees is essential to a business. A motivated employee means a highly productive staff, which will help in attaining the organizational goals. Before developing a motivational strategy, the first step is to understand what motivates employees. What impels them to their peak performance will better help in developing the programs that both motivate and keep hold of the best employees for the business. Not every employee will be motivated by the same thing. Plans can comprise everything from financial incentives, rewards and recognition, relaxed office environment, etc. The opportunities are infinite and the rewards are ample. Employee incentive programs are one of the easiest way to incentivize the workforce. Although not every program needs to be financial in nature. Employees are more motivated when they are acknowledged and rewarded for the excellent work. These programs could include the bonus pools, rewards and recognition, highlighting employees on the corporate websites. This will encourage the employees and make them feel allied and a part of the success of the company. Many employers leave a feedback for their annual reviews only, but this can be unfavorable. Employees should be recognized and esteemed as they want to feel that they are excellent at their jobs. And any take or look for face-to-face feedback from their managers. This should also embrace the positive criticism needed to address the issues and help the employees carry out their jobs more efficiently. Employees want to feel that they are being heard, and this will help them to feel that their opinion also matters and they play a role in defining the success of the organization. Eventually, when the employees are motivated, this increases the productivity, lowers the turnover and perks up the performance on the whole. Every organization needs physical, financial and the human resources to achieve the goals. It is through the motivation that the human resources can be utilized fully. This can be done by building keenness in the employees to work. This will help the business in securing the best, fullest utilization of resources.
Let us now summarize what we have learned in this module. In this module, we have learnt about the basic concepts of motivation, definitions of motivation, important concepts relating to motivation like needs and motives, goals, incentives, instincts, nature of motivation and its importance.
Let us now recapitulate what we have learned in this module. A positive motivation. Philosophy improves the output and quality. Motivation is a continuous process, psychological process, and a dynamic process. Motivation helps people achieve the goals, improves the efficiency, and reduces the wastage of raw materials and time. Motivated staff is less defined to change and thus leads to fewer conflicts. Additional feedback and better ideas from the staff can be supportive in improving the quality of products and customer service. Less supervision is required as workers are self-motivated, which ultimately saves money. Motivated employees builds an empowered team. Motivation results in positive and exigent outlook at the workplace. The key conceptions of motivation are need, motive, goals, incentives, and instincts. From the above dialogue, we can say that motivation is an inner feeling which can be understood only by the managers since he is close to contact with the employees. Needs, wants, and desires are interconnected and they are motivating force to take an action. We can say that motivation helps in constant process as motivation process is based on needs which are infinite. The process has to be continued all the way through.